if my leaders get better than me in leading? Welcome to Reactivating Churches Daily. This is the place where you spark an idea so that you can lead your church so that to overcome plateau, to overcome decline, so that you can reactivate, not just simply get more people back in the building, but you can reactivate to really make disciples. And so this is the place where you spark those ideas. You know, sometimes as leaders, we're concerned. Maybe not formally, and maybe we wouldn't say it out loud, but we want to be the leader and the voice in the room. And when we think of how do we train and equip our leaders, we may not formally say this, but what if the people in our organization, what if the people in our team, what if the people in our church become better leaders than we are? Then where does that leave me? And what does that actually really mean? I want to encourage you to move past that thought. You see, if our churches are really going to reactivate, if your business or your organization is going to reactivate and find that life and energy towards your mission and your vision, it's going to take all leaders, all hands on deck. And so I want to encourage you, identify the people around you and equip them and trust God with the consequences. I remember Johnny Hunt, I was at a conference, this is probably 15 years ago, and he was talking to church planters and he was talking to pastors about church planting. And he said, what happens if you plant a church that grows larger than yours? And that's just stuck in me. Is my ego willing to sacrifice for the kingdom? And so it may not be church planting, but pastors, deacons, church staff, Christian leaders, are you willing to invest in other people and trust God with the outcome of that? Peter Drucker, he says, no business or organization has ever suffered for having too many great leaders. One of the things that keeps us from investing in leaders is one, as I've mentioned, our egos, even if we don't acknowledge it. I think most of us say, well, I don't have an ego. But I think all of us have some level of that. But ego, but it's just not taking the time to invest in people around us, not having intentional, consistent conversations. We have to develop leaders. And in fact, we need to develop leaders in such a way that they outrun us. I just want to encourage you. One of the things when I turned 40, I began to think through the time I have left in leading. And it's not like this morbid thing, but I do want to be a leader that equips the younger generation to lead and to move forward. And that means that there are going to be handfuls of leaders that will accomplish more for the kingdom and that will lead better than I ever have. And I pray that happens. And I want you right now to begin thinking about the leaders on your team. Pastor, if you've got a staff of 1 or 2 or 3, whether they're full-time or part-time, I want to encourage you to begin thinking about what can you do to equip them to lead. You see, sometimes we just simply equip people in understanding the Bible better. And that's important. That's incredibly important. We got to be able to handle the Word of God. But one of the things that we struggle with in reactivating churches, or how do we overcome plateau and decline, and is that we don't have the leadership skills that require us to make the changes successfully and to move the people forward. And so I want to encourage you, pastors, and one easy way to do this is just simply find a good leadership book. And y'all start reading a chapter a week. Identify a good podcast and a good place to find articles, and then begin emailing them or forwarding them to the people on your team. And this is for leaders within the church, but this is also for Christian leaders within a business or an organization. There's a way that you can make disciples while you're developing leaders, and they may not even know that you're influencing them for the gospel. So today's simple tip: invest in the people around you now. Equip them, pray for them, encourage them, and do it consistently over time. And pray that God will equip them to be a better leader than you've ever thought about becoming. Trust God with the details, and I'm confident your church will begin thriving as the leaders in the church get better. That's today's simple tip.